Hello everybody, it's Steve Katsikaris, Norland, Coboconk Community Watchdog and Minden Watchdog, doing a video here tonight. I've just been going over the laws here in Canada regarding COVID-19, and I just want to let people know that you're being totally deceived in what's happening here now, and it's not me, it's the law. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through the law with you here tonight and show you that the Canadian government did not pass any law to enforce anything. That's including store closures. So if you're hurting in a business right now because of these closures, you've been closed illegally. After going through Bill C-14 and finding out what's going on in there, there's only been amendments to the Income Tax Act and the Financial Administration Act, and we're going to take a look at these two acts and see what it is. There's nothing about enforcement at all. It's all about just giving financial aid. So what's happening here is people have been watching the CBC and alternative media and not looking at the law. And what I'm going to show you here tonight is that this country has been shut down totally illegally by the federal government of Canada, and the premiers have been going along with it as well. And if we take a look through these laws here, you're just going to be floored. There is nothing, I repeat, nothing about store closures, wearing masks, social distancing, even Premier Doug Ford's Bill 195, I think it was. That was just a blank check law. It wasn't applied properly. And we're going to show you this here tonight, and maybe take the time to write to your MP and demand that we go back to normal, not a new normal, because the Emergencies Act is there to handle COVID-19. And Ottawa decided not to use the Emergencies Act because the Charter and Rights and Freedoms were in the way. So what Trudeau and the rest of these politicians have done is basically lie to you and deceive you by using mainstream media. And how we can prove that too is that they're calling it rules. Follow the rules, not follow the law. And I thought that was a bit weird. But after going through these acts here and showing the amendments to what's happened here in Ottawa, using a Prague government, that's ridiculous. They're supposed to all go into the House of Commons no matter if there's a disease or not, and a disease is very easy to contain. You just basically quarantine all the politicians in the House of Commons and do it that way. If we can do it with baseball and hockey players, how come we can't do it with politicians? And all these little stupid shows you're watching right now with Doug Ford and the Prime Minister talking in front of a podium, either at their house or in some kind of off-the-record room, not inside Parliament. Remember, when they're in Parliament, everything goes on the record. So everything that's happening to you and the rest of the country today is all being done off the record. And you're falling for it. You're closing your stores, you're wearing masks, you think that there's these laws that are in place. Also, the government using municipal government to give fines. There's nothing there at all about the federal government giving powers to the municipalities to fine people for any of these things, because the Charter and Rights and Freedoms is still in place, and they cannot tell you in government what to wear or how many people you can have in your backyard. You have the right of protected person and property under the Constitution of Canada. And when we go through all this, you're just going to be floored and what was passed under Bill C-14. And if there's any scholar out there or lawyer that can prove me wrong, hey, drop me a line right here. That's my email, katsikaris_steve@hotmail.com. Prove me wrong. I would love to be wrong with this, but I'm not. Our country has been shut down in a conspiracy plot by our government to bring in the New World Order. But anyways, I said enough. Let's go take a look at the law now, and you can go read it yourself when you get home or on your computer when you get the chance, and you can see there is no enforcement at all. It's just basically giving relief, and our country's been shut down for like 6-7 months now, and we're following all these rules that are not lawful and unconstitutional. And that's why we need to take a stand here and reopen our country, because if COVID-19 was really a deadly disease, don't you think they would have used the Emergencies Act and Bill C-14 instead of just amending the Income Tax Act and the Financial Administration Act? We're going to go through it. And hey, don't blame me, blame government. They're the ones that wrote these things, not me. And if you don't take the time to look at all this, they're going to pull the wool right over your eyes. Well, Now that you're watching this video with me here now, I think it's time for Canadians to take action. Open up your stores, take off your masks, get back to school, and let's go back to the way it was. Because we're not going to bankrupt our country, and this is what it's about, bankrupting our country and then bringing in a Nazi police state, a dictatorship. I think it's time for us not to be cowards anymore. My grandfather and my uncle fought in World War II. They went overseas and fought the Germans. They weren't cowards. So maybe I can take on a little bit of paperwork and fight a little COVID-19 disease. And that's why the government needs to come clean on all the people that died and their medical records and have a public inquiry on COVID-19. All right, let's go take a look at the laws and you'll see what I'm talking about. Here's the law that was passed last spring on April 11th, 2020 called Bill C-14. This is what Trudeau used to shut down the whole country and make all these crazy rules. All right, and if you take a look at the bottom of the page here, I'm going to switch over here. You'll see summary. So this is what Bill C-114 has done. It's got nothing to do with enforcement or giving municipalities power or anything like that. Part 1. Amends the Income Tax Act to introduce an emergency wage subsidy, that means give money, as part of the response to the coronavirus disease of 2019, COVID-19. All right, Part 2. So that's the second part. Amends Part 4.1 of the Financial Administration Act to provide that certain provisions of that act, as enacted by the COVID-19 Emergency Response Act, cease to have effect on the day after September 30th, 2020. Has Trudeau done an amendment now to take us over? I don't know. As far as I know, Parliament hasn't done anything yet. That's the big one. Okay, so we're going to take a look now what the amendments are exactly in that this new bill, Bill C-14 is doing for us here. Okay, so if you see on the screen here now, you'll see Income Tax Act amendments to the Act. The Income Tax Act is amended by adding the following after Section 125.6. Okay, remember that number, 125.6. And then we'll go over to the Income Tax Act and take a look what is there. So there's the Income Tax Act, 1985. And there we go. You'll see it, 125.6. And you'll see it's just basically definitions underneath. So it's going to start after that. And it's Part 1, Income Tax Continued. All right? And as we go through this, you'll start seeing stuff like eligible newsroom employee, qualifying journalism organization, shows some money at the top of $55,000. There's nothing about shutting things down or having to wear masks or anything like that. When assistance is received, nothing there about enforcing anything. So that's what I want people to understand, is that you're being duped right now by looking at this law. There's nothing here. That's why they've been saying follow the rules. Base percentage, current reference period, just telling you like when it starts and stops, eligible employee, all the way down here to eligible entity. Okay, so it's just basically handouts for cash. That's what I'm trying to get at here. You're not seeing anything about store closures and times and social distancing. I can't emphasize that too much here. You've been duped by the CBC and mainstream media. Qualifying period is here as well. And as we go down through this page here, revenue reduction percentage. I know this is kind of boring here, but I got to really show you the law here. You can take the time to look at this Bill C-14 yourself. Oh, I got a touch of COVID-19. I'm just kidding. Just clearing my throat. And you got E plus F times G, so that's how they figure out the equations for giving cash out. And now you can see down on this page here, the Employment Insurance Act. Right down 3/4 of the page of this page here that I'm showing you. That's where you get your CERB and your EI from. And as we continue on, we see the Employment Insurance Act, once again, and the Canada Pension Plan. So this is all about just giving out money. Alright? So I just wanted to go over the Income Tax Act with you. And that was the amendment. That's all Bill C-14 did for us, was just throw that into the Income Tax Act. Now, let's go over and take a look at the next act that was affected by Bill C-14. And it's the Financial Administrations Act. All right, so once again, I'm just going to put this up on the screen here. There's the summary. This is part 2 of Bill C-14. It's part 4.1. Remember that? The Financial Administrations Act. And now I'll put the Financial Administrations Act. There it is there, 1985. Okay, you see that? So now we're going to go through this now and see what has happened here. There it is there, part 4.1, 60.2. All right, stability and efficiency of the financial system. Nothing about masks. I know I keep saying this, folks, but you can see we're just being duped here. Canadian Payments Act is here. It's all about handing out money. Second page here, contracts and payments. And the third page, look at that, down at the bottom. Bank Act, Cooperative Credit Associations Act, Insurance Companies Act, and the Trust and Loan Companies Act. So that's pretty much it, folks. I just want people to understand that our country has been shut down illegally by Ottawa with a big fat lie. And once again, if this was a really nasty disease, they would have pushed the Emergencies Act, and they could have done store closures legally. But the Charter on Rights and Freedoms is guaranteed even during a national emergency under that act. And they can't tell you to take mandatory vaccinations. They can't tell you to wear masks. They can't tell you how many people you can have in your backyard for a barbecue. None of this is legal. So, Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, and all the others in Parliament who should be in there right now instead of shutting down Parliament and keeping it all off the record, I love how they're doing that, are basically involved in criminal conspiracy against the Canadian people and bloody treason. It's that simple. Anyways, I said enough for the day. Go take a look at the law yourself and start spreading it around. Talk to your friends, talk to your family. You know, let's take action. I'm Steve Katsikaris, your Norland, Coboconk, Minden watchdog, watching out for the taxpayer and the environment. Take care, everybody.